Hey guys, thanks for joining us for the panel discussion. We kind of made a little living room here, and I have some exciting people to sit with, all here from different organizations and various spaces. We're going to actually talk about an exciting topic. Really, how do we begin to bridge barriers by building bridges, right? And it's very interesting in this time and day and age that we're in, everything from a health pandemic to a social pandemic, how we begin to facilitate these conversations. So I have some exciting people with me. I have John with me, Carrie Ann, Lexi, Ellen, everybody from the respective organizations. So what we're going to do is we're just going to have some fun, and they're looking at the camera right now, but we're going to look together. We're in our own living room, so never mind us. But John, how about you start off with just kind of like providing an introduction? Tell us a little bit about who you are, your background, and let's have some fun with that.
Okay, my name is John Roper. I'm the CEO of the Arc of Emerald Coast. My background, my first life was in law enforcement. Then I got in the nonprofit world and been with the Arc about 4 years. And so, parent of a special needs child, so an advocate for that calling. So glad to be here. You know, our mission's disability and capability, and I think this is what this panel's about. So I'm excited to be a part of this. Proud I was asked to do this.
I love that. I love that. Disability is capability. I love that, John. Appreciate you being with us.
Yes, sir.
My good friend.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good, good, good. Introduce yourself to the audience.
My name is Cara Dean Baker, and I'm from Goodwill Industries, and I have been there just over a year now. I've come from a lot of twists and turns throughout. I started out as a person with barriers, and I learned to overcome those barriers by modifying my own behavior. And at that point, I was able to teach others how to modify their behavior. I came out of the corporate world into the nonprofit world, where there is still an accountability and yet a relaxed acceptability for persons who have barriers, disabilities, physical, emotional, economic, the persons who have been imprisoned, and persons who have just developmental issues.
I love it. I love it. Karen, you have a special story. When we talked before, I learned a lot about you. And so I want to be able to pull on some of that in the conversation because I think it's going to add a lot of value here.
Sure.
Really appreciate it. Lexi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Welcome to the living room. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good today.
Good, good, good.
So I work with the state of Florida's Division of Blind Services. I am the employment placement specialist. I actually just began in this role about 2 months ago, but I've been with the agency for about 2 years. And I kind of got involved with the Division of Blind Services just based on my background. I've always wanted to work with individuals that have disabilities. Growing up, I had hearing loss, wear hearing aids. So I was originally planning to work in the vocational rehabilitation side of things, which they're like our sister agency. But it's been awesome working with the Division of Blind Services. The visually impaired and blind population here in Florida are a really strong knit community. So I'm excited to serve them and explain to you guys how I help them in their employment search.
That's awesome. Thanks, Lexi. And congratulations. 2 months is a good time frame to do some good damage. So really appreciate you being here. Indeed. Ellen, how
Good
are
morning.
you?
I'm great. Thank you.
Good to see you. All is well?
All is well.
Good, good, good. Tell us about City of Tallahassee and all the great work you're doing there.
So good morning, everyone. My name is Ellen Blair, and I'm the Human Resources Director for the City of Tallahassee. I'm just really excited to be here this morning. We have lots of good programs that we do at the city. I've been with the city for about 7 years. I've been in human resources for 20 plus, and I'm just grateful to be here this morning and look forward to our discussion.
Good stuff, good stuff. As a former employee of the City of Tallahassee, I must say, the way that the city treats their employees is like top notch, hands down. And so I really appreciate the great work that you do over there. Indeed, indeed. All right, we have some riveting conversations. We're in the living room, so you guys can relax, no stress. But I wanna just kind of provide our audience some framing initially, right? Right now in the kind of climate that we're in our country, there's a lot of conversation around diversity, disadvantage, socioeconomic disadvantage, a lot of different elements, right? And diversity is such a widespread word, right? But I want to kind of frame our conversation to really think about how can we frame the word disadvantage, especially in the work that you all do. There's developmentally disadvantaged, there's socioeconomic disadvantage, but how do you all frame the word disadvantage in the work that you all do?
You're just talking now.
Yeah, let's talk.
Okay.
Yeah, feel free to hop in.
You know, as I was saying earlier, we're kind of the learning, and we serve people with learning and developmental disabilities,
Yeah.
which I think still falls under disadvantaged.
Yeah.
We're an agency that we cover 3 counties and serve almost 1,000 clients a year.
Yeah.
So we kind of
When you
have
say clients, you mean like
clients,
mapping
people with
to
disabilities.
jobs.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I would usually say ARC family because we consider our staff and clients family.
Good.
The word client, you know, is use that professionally, but they're our family.
Yeah.
You know, they live in our group homes. They go to our adult day training centers. We get them to work and we
Yeah.
provide services for them. And a lot of them don't have family but us.
Yeah.
So we're kind of with being a large agency with over 200 employees, we have the people there to help find a job, which is a little bit different, I think, than with the city finding people. And we already have the people to help find jobs. It's just finding the jobs.
Yeah.
You know, that's the tough part is before COVID here, our unemployment in our area was nothing.
Okay.
And so it's just, you know, you have some hurdles you have to jump. And if you find a job, what are the transportation issues?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and then if there's someone with a disability that are receiving benefits, they can only work so many hours.
For sure. For sure. So
And
navigating
so,
that space.
You know, in our world, in nonprofit world, I sure can't speak for you, but I'm sure you're nodding your head. It's a tough situation,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
they deserve a chance, just like we was given a chance one time in our life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
So Lexi, you kind of work with a similar population, the development disadvantaged space.
Yes.
Kind of talk about how you all define that within the agency.
So we serve more of the physical disability, so it's the visually impaired and the blind individuals. So it's definitely unique as far as those hurdles that you're talking about, you know, finding their transportation and making those connections and stuff like that. But I think that the way that we try to approach it is by, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, go for it.
Is by, you know, making connections with the community, making connections with employers in our community, trying to educate employers about the resources they have available. There's so many, once the recruiting process starts and the hiring process, and then even when you have an individual that, you know, you have in your workplace that develops a disability or develops a condition,
Right.
there are resources out there, and I think it gets scary as far as accommodations. A lot of small businesses don't know how to work and wrap their head around how are we going to provide these accommodations.
Sure.
Like, it can get expensive.
For sure.
But this is why, like, vocational rehabilitation, Division of Blind Services exists. And I'm sure even the nonprofit, to a certain extent, can provide some resources to help those companies and businesses get those accommodations that they need. And there's also Department of Labor. They have plenty of resources. JAN, the Job Accommodation Network exists. EARN, that's Employer Assistance and Resource Network. There's just so many resources. And I think the barrier really is that these small businesses, employers don't know about the resources that they have to help them.
And how to begin to access that.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ellen and Caradine, you all kind of not necessarily specifically touch more of the kind of developmentally disadvantaged and also more of the physically disadvantaged from a disability standpoint, but it seems like your net kind of cast a little bit wider. Kind of talk about how do you all define disadvantage in your organizations?
Oh, I can go. So I see anyone who has something in their background that is creating some sort of impediment or barrier to hold down a job, to get a job. There's just a whole host of things that people are struggling with on a day-to-day basis. And in my field, just human resources, I want to help people. I want to be able to give them worthwhile employment. So that's where I see.
Indeed, indeed. Caradine, what about you?
I couldn't have said it any more eloquent.
Yeah.
You, bravo. But at the same time, if you stop to think about it, we all have a barrier
Agreed.
that stops us or impedes us in some place, in some area that we've had to learn how to hurdle, and how to get beyond.
For sure.
So that we could flourish and we could become independent,
Yeah.
so that we could provide for our own families.
Yeah.
And that's all we're teaching.
For sure.
That's all we're doing is
Yeah.
reaching those people that need to learn those resources
Definitely.
that we have already in our little tool bag,
Yeah.
and offering them to that person. Now, there's lots of people that can only handle just pieces and bits and bytes at a time.
Right.
So we call it job carving.
Okay.
We carve
Yeah.
the job to meet the needs of the person,
I like that.
so that they can become self-sufficient,
Yeah.
and they can provide for their families at home.
Yeah. I like the way the kind of the lane you're going here, and it makes me want to kind of pull on your experiences in that space, right? And I really want to hear from each of you all about how you all were drawn to this work, right? You have to have a deep level of emotional intelligence and empathy to really be in this work and not feel emotionally burdened by it, but really kind of uniquely inspired by it. So kind of talk to us about what led to you doing the work that you're doing now from your own personal experiences.
I grew up in a very difficult family situation.
Mm-hmm.
And in that family situation, when your family are already indulging in places in life that brings those uncomfortable challenges home,
Yeah.
and they raise you with those uncomfortable challenges,
Yeah.
you have to become determined to not allow it
Yeah.
to overtake you,
Yeah.
but overtake it instead.
Gotcha. So
And
maybe that may be like abuse of
Yeah.
drugs or alcohol. Yeah.
Physical,
Yeah.
whatever the abuse
Yeah.
is.
Gotcha.
And that's really what it is.
Yeah.
It's an abuse. You know, everything in moderation, but sometimes that moderation gets overtaken.
This is true.
And at that point, you, without even realizing it, you raise that child in that atmosphere
Yeah.
and environment, and you create a culture within your own family
Yeah.
that is accepting of certain behaviors
Yeah.
that society doesn't like.
Yeah.
And so you have to learn how to overcome them on your own.
For
So
sure.
by the time I got married at the age of 15,
Mm-hmm.
had my first child before I was 16,
Mm-hmm.
and by 17 I was headed toward divorce.
Mm.
And you don't realize the destruction and the disability that it provides
Mm.
when you don't raise a child in a structured, loving place.
Yeah.
So that makes adults like us have to figure it all out or get real crazy.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be crazy
Gotcha.
no more.
For
I
sure.
mean, you start down that road and you stop because there's somebody that depends on you.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, it was my child.
Yeah.
And so I went back to school and I got my GED, and then I started going to school.
Yeah.
The more I went to school, the more I began to realize that, oh my God, you know,
Yeah.
I don't want to be just somebody
Yeah.
that's receiving assistance. I want to be the one giving
Gotcha.
assistance.
Which drew you to the work.
And
Yeah.
that drew me to here.
Yeah.
And after many steps and twists,
Yeah.
but getting my social work degree and getting a degree in law
Yeah.
for legal assisting,
Yeah.
and the combination of compliance and organization and compassion just
Yeah.
kind of enveloped me
Indeed.
into who I am.
That's good.
But that means that if you're hurting and you're having a difficult moment,
Mm-hmm.
I can walk up to you and very
Be able to
gently,
reason. Yeah.
very
absolutely.
gently say, hey, come on, this is not a place of disability.
Yeah.
This is a place of difficulty. Let's
Yeah.
stand up, put on our big girl britches,
Yeah.
our big boy,
Yeah,
whichever the
for
case
sure.
happens to be.
Yeah.
But let's walk this together,
Yeah.
you know?
And you know what, John, your slogan at the ARC is disability is capability. And you know, you kind of had a personal experience yourself in those spaces. So how about you share a little bit about what kind of drew you to the work?
Yeah, you know, I lived in Alabama and applied for the job in Florida really with not knowing anyone. I actually have a special needs daughter who'll be 16 next month.
Yeah.
And you know, it's very passionate become about. I think to be in this role as a CEO of an agency or to even work at an agency, you got to have a passion about what you're doing.
Yeah.
You got to care about the mission because you
Yeah.
don't want to be miserable going to work every day.
Yeah.
And so when I accepted the position at the ARC and I went to work at the ARC, I realized almost all my staff knows someone with a disability, has a child with a disability, has a family member with a disability, as some
Yeah.
of you in this room may have that
Yeah.
you would never know,
Yeah.
you know, that had that. And so when they're working when the clients are working in our office, or I say our family is working in our office, or I'm up here in Tallahassee on Developmental Disability Day,
For sure.
and I'm talking about rates and the things that you have to do on the legislation platform and how we want to take up for them. And, you know, it's very easy to get behind what we do.
Yeah.
You know, and we have a caring staff. We have a large staff. We're a large nonprofit. We run everything from a birth to 3 intervention program all the way up to adult day training centers.
Yeah.
We do support employment. We have rehab. You know, we
Yeah.
have enclaves where we have an employee go out and take 4 clients with disabilities and clean the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
And what you find out now is the sheriff wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
He loves the people that cleans his office. He loves them on their birthdays and at Christmas. So my passion kind of flows.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I live it every day,
Yeah.
not just at my office.
Yeah.
So it's easy for me to get behind what we do and be here today and get this opportunity to tell that, look, we all got given a chance sometime in our life. So let's give this family a chance.
Yeah.
Because once you get them and they come work for you,
Yeah.
they're going to be loyal. They're going to be honest.
Yeah.
They're going to appreciate what you're doing for them. They're going to become part of your family.
Absolutely.
And that's
Create
what we
that arc
want.
to opportunity.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
good.
And it's
That's good.
disability capability, and you know, whether they're low function or high function, they all have a purpose.
Yeah.
And it's
Oh, yeah.
our job to stick up for them and
Yeah.
be there for them.
Facilitate.
So we
that.
do that.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Lexi, Ellen, what about you all? What kind of drew you to the work that you all are doing now?
So growing up with my hearing impairment, my hearing loss,
Yeah.
a little different from your situation. My mother was very much, you can do anything,
Yeah.
like you do whatever you want to do. Like
sure.
there's no difference between you and anyone else.
Yeah.
Like that was very much the culture in our house. And so growing up and getting out in college and learning about even like the resources that colleges and universities provide to their students,
Yeah.
and VR and DBS and all these different resources that are available
Mhm.
to this population, it really inspired me. It really, I felt like I had a community that I hadn't even had the chance to connect with,
For sure.
just because, not that my parents were trying to shield me from it, but you know, they were like, well, you can do whatever you want. You're fine.
Yeah.
So I really felt drawn, and every day to, like John says, you know, to go to work and be able to be proud of what I do, because I mean, when people, you know, we see our clients start off as new clients at one point, and then they get a job or they get their degree, or they, you know, they learn how to, you know, cross the street, because I mean, when you're visually impaired, that's a hurdle sometimes. It's pretty on a busy highway.
For sure.
That's a big hurdle. So, you know, there's just so much to be proud about with working with this agency.
That's awesome.
And even VR, I think VR does great things as well.
That's
So
cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Ellen, what about you?
Geez,
You're in the big bertha of HR. Right?
yes, yes.
So you're seeing it all. So what kind of drew you to these spaces?
So I think I landed by default in
Okay.
an HR department
Yeah.
when I was young in my career, and then I said, "Hey, this is pretty cool."
Yeah.
And so I decided to pursue my graduate degree in
Yeah.
human resources. And I think, like many of you suggested, you have to have a passion for what you do.
Yeah.
You need to have to really truly want to help people.
For sure.
I think in my role with the city, I'm given a lot of latitude to try to problem solve and figure out what's best for our workforce and offer new programs, new policies that will help them. So
That's good. Talk to me about that a little bit, and kind of want to hear from each of you all about just some strategies that your organizations or you all sitting in your seats have taken in order to really kind of build that bridge, right, for individuals who are with a socioeconomic disadvantage, disability disadvantage. Like, you know, talk to me about what type of bridges, what type of strategies are you all implementing? Maybe 2, 3, maybe 1 that you guys are doing and that you guys have seen good success from.
So for the city, I'd say one of our initiatives was called our Ban the Box policy. That is a situation where what led us to that was recognizing that employees or candidates with criminal records sometimes they're starting here where they shouldn't, you know, and it's really, really tough to pursue and get a job
For sure.
with a criminal record. So recognizing that, we took that impediment away. So we don't ask the employee, we look at the employee or a candidate based on their qualifications, their skills, or overall what they're going to bring to the job.
Is that just within the city of Tallahassee, or has that been kind of spread out to local companies, local businesses within the community as well?
So right now it's just for that particular policy is just our city policy. But it's following suit what's happening across the country and across the state. Numerous state organizations or states and counties and towns have these type of ban the box policies to support individuals with who may have a criminal record.
That's interesting. That's very interesting, because, you know, I say it's interesting because oftentimes there's so much encouragement for people who have left the prison system to stay out of the environments that they once were in. But once they oftentimes try to focus on the pathway of progression, there's these roadblocks and barriers, right? That just kind of face them when their mind is made up to move in a certain direction, but oftentimes the path to progression is very difficult and sometimes unnecessarily difficult in ways that systems or organizations could remove certain barriers in order to see that path kind of get on a good foot. So that's interesting. It's a good initiative for sure. John, what about you guys?
I want to speak on that, just being on the law enforcement side. I'm going to put on a different hat just from what it's. I remember that when I was in law enforcement, we would arrest people for drugs or whatever we arrest them for. So I worked in a drug unit my first few years. And I remember the people getting out, and I would know them because I worked in a small town. They would say, I can't make it out here. I'll just go back. And they felt security in the prison system where they couldn't fill it out in society. So that's a real hurdle. It's a real hurdle, especially now with things like they are.
That's very, very true. And you know, it's interesting to see a lot of the kind of state legislation that's been moving across the country, particularly around like marijuana and elements like that, where kind of you see like, I guess the kind of crimes are petty crimes for the most part, but how something so small can impact somebody's life for, you know, a solid 5-10 years, if not 15 plus. So it's interesting to see those types of initiatives being passed. That's good stuff.
Because if they work at the ARC, they have to pass a background check. And sometimes little things are a big hiccup for them getting employment.
So what kind of programming do you all do at the ARC that helps individuals that are running with certain, you know, impairments to kind of get to the place of opportunity? How do you help folks?
You know, we start out with the basics with those clients that we have. You know, we have group homes where our clients live with us. We have adult day training centers where they're brought into like an adult school to learn basic living skills.
How long is that adult school?
Oh, it's adult day training centers. They can stay there with us they can come every day. It's really not school as much as a training center, basic living skills. And, you know, you go from very highly functioning to very low functioning. You go from a 1-to-1 staff ratio to a 1-to-10 staff ratio. And so, you know, with those people with those clients that need a job, or we try to help them get a job, we start off with the basic, how to fill out an application. How do you do a resume? You know, we get them on a computer and our staff works with them. And we teach them the basics. And we're lucky, you know, we're the Fort Walton Beach, Destin, Crestview, Niceville area. And it's big when tourists are there, but it's small when they're not. So they know about the ARC.
For sure.
And they know about our clients. And we have clients working in fast food places to department stores, to county contracts, all the way up to respect contracts, the Department of Transportation. You know, we have several contracts that they require a certain percentage of those employees have a disability. A hurdle we have is they're going to come and apply to you and not tell you they have a disability because they're embarrassed. Then we found out we could ask them.
They don't want to be seen that way.
Right. And then they still won't tell you. When we need the numbers. And, you know, disability can be from diabetes to Down syndrome.
But the numbers help you with what? Does it help you navigate?
Some of our contracts want 75% of the people on our work crew to have a disability. Example, we do the I-10 rest areas in our area. We cut the grass. We keep the rest areas clean. That's our family. That's our clients out there doing that with a supervisor that we hired. So these contracts want you to have that percentage. Which is great. But sometimes it's just hard to do if they won't tell you they've got a disability. So it becomes a challenge. But we work with that. Good HR department, good staff, and but there are hurdles, but we start out with the basics. They've got to know how to fill out an application, and then our employees will even go to their job with them for a while and sit with them in a fast food restaurant, make sure they're doing their job, make sure they're comfortable.
So let me ask you this question. How do you all help, I guess, the existing community around see what you all see, like the potential, the capability in individuals who may be disadvantaged from a physical standpoint, from a learning disability standpoint. How do you all help the private sector or the public sector that you all work with closely see what you all see the promise and the potential in the candidates?
So on our end, I would say, I mean, just educating the community, getting out there, doing the outreach, explaining.
So a lot of storytelling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Using experiences and examples of our clients that have, started out with us and they've gotten X, Y, and Z job, and this is how they, this is how they did it. This is what they do now. This is where they are now.
So storytelling being one segment. How do you all help in the respects of really kind of the application process, right? Like making it quote unquote more accessible. So things like ban the box, but more so on from a disability standpoint. How do you all help like the application process be more accessible for not only the prospective candidates, but also the employers as well?
Sometimes we actually hands-on, right at our desk.
Yeah.
And we maneuver the mouse and do the clicks.
Yeah.
But we let the person that we're setting with drive us.
Gotcha.
Because it's their application and it's their direction and it's their request.
Yeah.
And that's what we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because sometimes that's what people need.
Yeah.
We create a culture of environment that doesn't stay locked in to the walls of the retail store or of the administration office or of the missions role. And because that's what Goodwill did was they're a vocational rehabilitation, and that's actually what started this, was to get the items that people didn't want and resell them to fund the mission side of going out into the community and knocking on doors and saying, hey, we're here, let us help you, let us direct you. If there's anything we can offer, please tell us, and if we don't got it,
that outreach,
we know how to get it.
For sure. That's good. So how can we help other employers really begin to, like, you had to think about like a 3-step strategy that like a local coffee shop could take or local retailers could take. And it's definitely kind of challenging for local retailers in this like particular climate, but other employers that are maybe city or locally based, county-based, state-based, what can they do in order to really begin to tap into the existing talent pool in this space? Putting your thinking caps. I want the gems. I gotta have them.
There are specific job portals that exist specifically for people with disabilities. So, posting on those and just being open to the talent pool that you're going to bring in, I think is a big thing. Getting in contact with the VR and DBS and nonprofits that have these clients that want to work. I mean, they're in these programs for a reason, and it's just sometimes it's harder. Like I said, the employers might get a little worried about accommodations and things like that. But I mean, we exist even for people that are already employed to provide them with the resources that they need to maintain
with accommodations
to maintain their employment. That is one of the bigger goals for VR and DBS and it's so much easier on our end to help someone maintain their employment versus that, employee.
First landing the job first. That's interesting. That's good though, but it's interesting that I don't know if a lot of employers actually know about those types of services, which I think are very important, right? And so really getting that word out, I think is definitely key. I mean, I see you thinking over there.
Yeah, I've been thinking. So I would be encouraging and for your agencies, and I know you guys do a great job, but really encouraging these other employers who may not have large HR departments, so they don't know what resources are out there, but they should be expanding their talent pool resources. They should be looking to see, okay, if we want to increase diversity in this particular area, we should be taking a progressive, proactive look at figuring out how can we increase that diversity. And there's a ton of websites, whether it's recruitment websites or just industry sites that if you want to increase your diversity, there's certainly resources out there.
For sure. You bring up an interesting pain point that I think a lot of employers deal with, right? Not having an HR team, right? My company, we have a team of 7. We mostly have an HR consultant than we have a head of HR. And so it'll be interesting to kind of just, think through that over some time and really think through, how can we begin to send out different resources that you guys are tapped into, to a lot of employers that maybe want to tap into, the richness and the capabilities of what, this talent brings to an organization? Because I think that the diversity of perspective is going to add a lot of value, right? Where, a small business owner may not be thinking in a particular manner of, how do I begin to help those people that don't necessarily look like me, don't necessarily learn like me, don't necessarily have a particular capability like myself, or how do I help folks keep a job in that space, which I think is vitally important. Yeah. What do you all see as the kind of on the horizon for you all, space and innovation that's taking place in your spaces from an employer standpoint, from a technology standpoint? What are some things that are being done that you all are seeing within your own spaces and industry that are going to be kind of progressive and lead to progression for most folks in this space?
So I think, like John said, transportation is usually a big barrier for people looking for employment,
Economic mobility, yeah.
Yeah, and with a lot of jobs transitioning to work from home or virtual, that's awesome for our clients.
Yes. So how do you all deal with that, right? Because work from home isn't. For instance, if we're talking about the blind, right? If I have employees and I'm like, hey, we're working from home, pull out your laptops, ready to rock and roll. There's no way I'm telling, an employee that I have that's blind to say, hey, look at your computer. How does one kind of navigate that landscape in the midst of COVID, right?
That actually is one of the bigger misconceptions. There's software that exists, screen reading software, there's Zoom text, which, zooms the screen. There's all sorts of software and computer accessories that exist for individuals that are visually impaired or blind to work on a computer and do those administrative or bookkeeping at home type of jobs, customer service even. So it's possible. It definitely is something that our clients can do. It's not a barrier for them at all as far as using the computer.
That's good. John, Ellen,
we have found sometimes that it makes it easy access if we take a 8-hour day, and instead of just one person handling that 2 days a week or 3 days a week, taking 2 people and starting with one person and ending with another, and that way there's not so much intensity that overwhelms them, because sometimes that's part of their disability. So we need to minimize that to the best of our ability. And that job carving, that's what that means, is carve it out so that the people that can.
For sure.
That way there's no barrier that we've put there as a traditional employer. That's long past.
That makes sense.
It's gone now.
That makes sense.
It's time to be that innovator of opportunity and open doors that most people haven't had.
Yeah, for sure. John, you got something?
Yeah, we're a little bit different. We the people that we use that work for the ARC, or that clients that work through us, work out in the field. We've learned as a staff.
You guys are like essential workers for the most part.
We are. We have an enclave that cleans the sheriff office, as I was saying earlier, that cleans a gas company, or that goes into county buildings and clean. They can do that after hours or when employees are not there. So they love to go out and do that because they're out. That's a great thing. That can't be done virtual. Our mobile work crews are cutting grass for the convention center, or they're out cleaning the beaches, or they're taking care of state parks. And they can't do that virtual. So we're a little bit different dynamic, but now our staff, like myself, and we can work from home at times, as long as like during COVID, our adult day trainings have been closed, because you can imagine those that we serve have a very low immune system. We can't take a risk with them.
So you're speaking to the existing of where you guys are at now, but in the future, or even from some of the ARC family, have people been reaching out and crying out for more like technologically facing jobs in that space with the ARC family?
They have. We actually have a behavior analyst on staff who is communicating with our group home clients virtually. Just talking to them, let them know she's still there, even though she's not actually physically with them there, because for a long time we couldn't get them out of their group homes. We couldn't let them leave. And you can imagine 150 days in a group home and you're not leaving. It's tough, especially if one of our clients have behaviors. And some of them do, and you don't want to create behaviors. So we've implemented technology as much as we can to keep our employees safe and our clients safe. But now the ARC Florida as a whole, the 40 so odd agencies of ARC that serve Florida, we're starting to rephase openings.
Yeah.
And we're really having to be real careful about it. So, and we're letting parents stay informed through social media. We're letting them know what's going on with newsletters.
Yeah.
You know, there was one, I put one out this morning about the hurricane and what we're doing. The police and our admin office is closed, but our phones are available. We have to keep the parents informed of what's going on with those that don't live with us.
Yeah.
And we do that by social media, phone calls, Zoom calls, you know.
Yeah. Good stuff. Ellen, what do you see on the horizon for City of Tallahassee, but also just in the city in general?
So we have,
Different innovations. to
yeah,
add to.
we have a couple of initiatives going on right now. One, so we absolutely want our workforce to mirror the community.
Yeah.
So we're going to be partnering with our local colleges and university. We're very fortunate to be here in Tallahassee
For
with
sure.
so many advanced educational institutions. So we're doing that. And we also run a very successful internship program,
Okay.
paid and unpaid. So that's also being able to let us get all sorts of people.
Yeah. That's a good program. I was in the unpaid one though.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
right.
Sorry.
It's all good.
We can
It's all
talk
good.
about that offline.
I appreciate it. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. I want to leave our audience with just a couple of nuggets, right? And some actionable takeaways that they can have to implement, not like 2 weeks from now or like 5 weeks from now or, you know, in the beginning of 2021, but what can they do this month, right? This month of September. What can some of our employers that are with us right now, kind of zooming in our living room situation, what can we inform them and what can we provide them as far as tools, resources, strategies, kind of like final comments here so they can kind of walk away with some good nuggets.
Want me to start again?
If you want to.
I mean, you know, I would say reach out, you know, look at the agencies that serve people with disabilities and reach out to them.
Yeah.
Find out what we have. You know, people are starting to hire back now a little bit. We're starting to open back up. And even in our area, there are opportunities for people to go to work.
Yeah.
You know, reach out to us. Usually an agency our size, we work with other agencies. So we know where to send you if you need somebody else, example, you know. I just think that they've got to take advantage of what we have. You know, as a final thought, I would say, when you see somebody with disability, don't walk away from them, walk toward them.
That's good.
Give them that chance.
That's good.
You know, give them that chance to make a difference. You're going to find out that you've probably been missing a lot by not using agencies like mine and different agencies to hire your employees.
Yeah.
Turnover's a lot in our area. We have a lot of turnover, especially during the summer when tourists come in and tourists leave. We have a lot of turnover.
Yeah.
Our people don't turn over.
Yeah.
They're going to be there all year round.
That's good.
They're going to do a good job. And the county contracts we have, the respect contracts we have, they love what we do and who we serve. So that'd be my final thought. Don't walk away from somebody with a disability. Walk toward them and give them a chance. Some point in our life, we all got a chance. Let's give them a chance. They deserve it.
Yeah. I like it. I like it. Kirti?
I would say the same thing. Don't just ignore people because they're different or because they look different or because they behave different.
Yeah.
Go toward them and get to know them, talk to them, see where they're at and what their needs are, because there are ways to supply for those needs. There's bus passes, there's transportation available in different places, but reach out, call us. We're here. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Do Facebook. Facebook is great.
Yeah.
People look at Facebook all day long.
Yeah.
But that way, if you need extra training, don't be afraid. We've all got people that we can send your way just to help make your transition at least acceptable, because there's always going to be a hiccup along the way.
Definitely.
Reaching out to the disabled, reaching out to the dysfunctional, reaching out to the criminal.
Yeah.
It doesn't come with no consequences.
Yeah.
There are consequences in that, but you learn to buffer your own staff and your own position with those protections for the society and for your staff and for your place, so that you can make room.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Good stuff. Lexi?
I think it's important, like John said, to get in contact with the resources and the agencies that exist. CareerSource, I know we partner really heavily with them. I've been trying since I've been in this role to get my clients here and get an Employ Florida. So that's a great way to kind of connect with other resources. There's all kinds of agencies that 211 at the Big Bend will point you in the right direction. Goodwill will point you in the right direction. We all kind of connect in some way, and we're all so willing usually to help people find the right person. I think that another big misconception about people with disabilities in comparison to people without disabilities is that the turnover is going to be high, which it's actually opposite. Research shows that once you get someone with a disability into your part of your staff, they want to stay, they want to work, and they stay longer. So I think just trying to learn and find your resources is the biggest thing, and then connect with the people that you can.
I love it. And then we have some people knocking on our door for Q&A. So not telling you to be brief, but provide us some good nuggets.
So again, access the resources. But one of the things, if you are a smaller employer and you're looking for people, broaden your applicant pool by looking into different groups of people that you may not have considered before. I'll tout the Ban the Box that we have been extremely successful, and we've been able to enhance our hiring pool. So
that's great. That's great. By what percentage, if you mind me asking?
It ranged, depending on the year. I was looking at that when I studied for this, but depending on the year, we've been able to increase hiring by 6 to 12% a year.
Wow.
For those individuals who have criminal records. Obviously, we still do the background checks, but it's after you get the job offer, not before.
Talk to me about this. Sometimes employers may think I'm kind of, they may see the lack side of it more so than the opportunity side of it. They may say, hey, I'm wasting time by interviewing this applicant. And then I find out, that they've had this type of offense and this type of offense. And I don't know how comfortable I am with that. Like, how does one kind of navigate that terrain from a leadership standpoint?
From a leadership standpoint, I believe it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do for these individuals, for their families, and for your community, as well as your economy. These are an untapped pool of individuals looking and very hungry for work.
Yeah, and you guys have had much success at the City of Tallahassee.
We have.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good to hear. I want to dive back in on another topic we were talking about, and it's very particular in the respects of, it's kind of the difference between like job and purpose, right? Like, how do people in this demographic really begin to kind of identify purpose and talent and skills, and then begin to go to the job carving that Kara Dean was talking about to understand proper placement? Talk to me a little bit about that.
So our clients come in, they start off all at different positions in their life phase. So we have students that are high school students, and then we have college students on our caseload. So they're really focusing on, gaining the knowledge and the education to obtain their goals, which for the most part, those students have set those goals for themselves. They're just like everyone else in the respect that they have ideas about what they want to do. They have ideas about the population they want to serve, or if they want to work, what industries they want to work in.
But what if they don't know? Like, how do you all help them really begin to identify that, right? Because oftentimes if one individual has kind of a barrier in their mind that they perceive that they have, right? And we all have them, whether it's emotional, psychological, physical. We all have these barriers that we may perceive in our mind, or maybe we actually may have. So, but how do you all help people kind of go through a visioning process or exercise in order to kind of help them identify those goals about where they want to be?
So we do have programs where we can set up like internships almost pretty much. They're called job placement opportunities. So that gives them the opportunity to look at different industries, different career fields, and say, hey, I'd like to try this. And what we do on our end is connect with the employers and say, hey, this person is still exploring their careers. They would like to try out working with you. And it's usually it is no cost to the employer. We provide the payment at a certain rate.
For sure.
And so that gives the person doing their job search an idea about, okay, I don't like that, or
Yeah.
I do like this is where I want to stay.
Yeah.
And also it gives the employer this experience with this person, and ultimately, usually, I mean, if it's a good employee and
Yeah.
it's a good relationship with the employer will hire that person.
Yeah, and a good employer, I guess the good employee is a myriad of things, right? It seems like the match is what's most important.
Mhm.
And I guess in that surveying process, it appears that the prospective candidate goes through their own kind of visioning,
Mhm.
I guess, kind of journey
Mhm.
to understand where they want to be placed,
Right.
right? From an industry standpoint and job.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. It actually helps me think about what you were talking about earlier as far as job carving. Like, what does that look like at Goodwill? Or how do you kind of define it from your perspective of job carving and really thinking through talent, purpose, finding the right fit for the right position so they can be the most dynamic person that they can be and be 2% better every day?
Job carving, in its essence, simply means to take the position and carve out the pieces that person cannot accommodate.
Yeah.
But yet they have great skills.
Yeah.
They have a willingness to learn. They have a drive
Yeah.
that wants to know more,
Yeah.
but they can't handle this right now.
Yeah.
So
So it's in the
part,
progression,
that's right.
job
So
development. Yeah.
this part is held off
Yeah.
and allowed somebody else to do that part while this person grows and learns
Yeah.
and matures
Yeah.
in that position and in the mindset of that thought process
Okay.
with them. We're very careful because persons with disabilities are very standoffish.
Yeah.
They're very reserved.
They want to be judged or accused.
They don't,
Yeah.
right, and they don't want to be seen as different
Yeah.
or treated
Yeah.
as different.
Yeah.
And
Because like Lexi was saying, it's just, they have families, right?
Yeah.
that's right.
There's normal everyday people,
Yep.
right? And oftentimes because of whatever augmentation or misconceptions that people might
Right.
have, they're sometimes viewed different, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
I think the big thing is it's an aspect of who that person is, but it's not what
It's not who
makes
they
up
are.
them.
Absolutely.
Right.
So that's
Right.
the biggest thing.
And so at the same time, once you train that person for that part of the job,
Yeah.
they're responsible for that part
Yeah.
of the job. They don't get off
Yeah.
as though they're sitting there in their chair all day or standing
Yeah.
with their buggy all day.
They're held
And they
accountable.
just la 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 and just get a paycheck.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
When they come to work,
Yeah.
they come to learn.
Yeah.
They come to grow. They
Yeah.
come to expand.
Absolutely.
And they expect it.
Yeah.
And when they stop expecting it, then we pull them in and
Yeah.
say, okay, there's some change here.
Yeah.
Talk to us, help
About
us
what's going on with that.
understand
Yeah.
so that we can, maybe you're bored now.
Yeah.
Maybe you need some more challenges.
Yeah.
I got just the challenge
Yeah.
for you.
So it's those other responsibilities that you guys carved out
That's right.
to say, hey, 6 months down the road, this
Yep.
is more developmental.
That's right.
Let's now implement that,
Yeah,
right? And
because-
expand the role.
Absolutely.
And the role it's not really expanding the role, but let's go to the full capacity of the role.
Of the role
Yeah.
as it was designed.
That's good.
So it takes time for certain people. But when you totally look at that person and say, you are not worth my time, I've got other things to do, I'm in a hurry. No. You
Yeah.
know what? This is real life, real people.
Security, let's talk about that in this context, right? You have a lot of people, employers, small business owners, agency folks that are like aggressively focused on the bottom line right now,
Yeah.
right? Like
Right.
sometimes the focus is just pure out revenue because of all the losses that were experienced. I mean,
Right.
I think May it was reported that 40 million jobs were lost, right?
Lost.
Here in the US. And so when you think about, overcoming those hurdles, what type of leadership acumen, what type of mindset, like 3 characteristics that someone should have when they're like moving into this space, right? Because I think it's untapped potential, as you stated, right?
It is.
And so how do we help those business owners, those business owners move from being a manager to a leader in order to really be able to identify talent and bring it into the organization?
Well, the first thing you have to have is a reality of what your position, what your company requires.
Yeah.
What is your bottom line?
context,
Not your highest level,
Yeah.
but what is your bottom line?
Mm-hmm.
And how can that best help someone step into that place and contribute
Yeah.
back?
Yeah.
And even rearrange it to where it invites
Yeah.
other people to want to
The
participate.
process of the applicant. Yeah.
That's right.
Sure.
Because once you get that person that's in that role
Mm-hmm.
to start saying, hey, dude, come check this out. This is a great person. This is a great company.
Yeah.
This is a great job. They listen.
Gotcha.
They hear you.
Gotcha.
And then they take time for you.
Yeah.
Because it scares us off too.
Yeah.
When employers become that aggressive,
For sure.
it scares even those of us who have overcome those barriers away.
Yeah.
Because at that point, it's not about people no more.
Yeah.
It's about just
Yeah.
that bottom line. And I get it.
Yeah.
It's financial, it's economical,
Yeah.
it's the community that accepts or decreases
Yeah.
in their
I
profitability.
like that reality piece and really kind of understand like the context, right? Give me 2 more nuggets. Let me get 2 more nuggets. from
Well,
you.
a disabled person is also a very atypical personality oftentimes.
Very determined.
Very determined
Yeah.
of their own. They have goals. They have
Ambitions.
ambitions
Yeah.
in life that absolutely drive them to get up out of that bed every day.
Yeah.
Because getting out of that bed and getting out of that house is
Mhm.
the first thing
Yeah.
that they got to do.
Yeah.
So once they get past that part of it, the world, the sky is the limit for them at that point.
I like that.
But at the same time, we have to let them walk beside
Mm-hmm.
of us,
Mm-hmm.
not behind us
Yeah.
and not ahead of us,
Yeah.
but with us.
Yeah. It seems like one of the biggest leadership hurdles that I think a lot of people have in this space is really the misnomers, like the misconceptions, the preconceived notions
Yeah.
of what that is, right? And you know, as an African American in America, I understand what that experience is like. And as one who was a military brat and raised overseas and into the States and had like a very diverse background from a connection of people and what have you not, you start to see those elements pop up, right? And so it's interesting that, you know, that happens in this space like aggressively, which is very interesting. But it seems like the biggest leadership lesson is really how are we breaking down kind of the mental barriers that we have of one another to not lead towards a place of unity, right?
Yeah.
Towards a place of really coming together, seeing each other for our own capabilities, the own power that we bring to the world, and solutions that we bring to it as well. So that's good. I appreciate that big time. John, it sounds like the ARC is amazing, right?
I think so.
Yeah, and I know you do, and I do too. And so what I want a lot of people to kind of really understand here is how can people get plugged up with the ARC, right? Like, is there an atypical type of business that has to be plugged up with the ARC? Like, what size company can come, you know, and partner with you guys? Like, how does it work? Talk to us about the opportunity here.
You know, the ARC has 41 chapters in the state of Florida, but it's a national organization.
Okay.
So we have a lot of, I'm not saying a lot of pull, but we have a lot of influence
Okay.
on the world of disabilities. And that's what we should have.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to stick up for. Calling our office, the one thing I will say, that one thing I've brought, and I think it was already there, but I brought more is collaboration.
Okay.
We have to work with other agencies.
Yeah.
The ARC can't do everything.
Yeah.
There's no way. And if somebody comes to us and says they need something we can't provide, we're going to know somebody to send them to.
Yeah.
That's very important.
Yeah.
You know, it's very important, you know, and
So when you say agencies, are you speaking of other state agencies?
I'm talking about the nonprofits and state
Nonprofit.
agencies.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, you know, we work with a lot of other nonprofits that refer clients to us that they can't serve.
Yeah.
We have clients we have to send to them that we can't serve, but we work
Yeah.
together. Maybe they come to our adult day training center during the day, but they don't live in our group homes at night.
Yeah.
So we have to work together.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're talking about the jobs, and I think that one thing that we rely on is our staff. Our
Yeah.
staff knows the clients we have and what their capabilities are going into a workforce.
Mhm.
So if an employer calls us and says, what are the capabilities? I don't think any employer should set a client up with disabilities for failure.
Yeah.
You can't hire somebody, put them in a position if you don't know them. You got to be patient. You got to be open-minded.
Yeah.
So you talk to our staff and find out, we find out we had artists, we find out we had musicians.
Yeah.
We find our clients, because we bring guests in.
Yeah.
And we find out what they love.
Yeah. So can small business owners, with I guess a team or staff of like 15 to 20 looking to hire like 7 or 10, is that like an ideal organization that will come and partner with
Perfect.
ARC?
Yeah. We do a lot of fast food stuff because, as I said earlier, if they're drawing benefits, they can only work so many hours.
That's right.
So a small business may be looking for a 20-hour-a-week employee instead of a 40-hour-a-week employee without benefits.
Yeah.
Which benefits a small business right now, because benefits are expensive.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
expensive for me at my agency.
Yeah.
So part-time employees are great.
Yeah.
And it fits perfect with the clients we serve.
Yeah. So talk about that. I mean, there's an education needs to take place for our audience in the respects of, individuals who are with the ARC, the ARC family. It appears that if they're drawing benefits or disabled benefits, there's only a certain number of hours can work. Could you kind of educate us?
Some of them, yeah, that they're going to receive maybe a little check for a condition.
Okay.
Or they're getting Medicaid or they're getting insurance. And
Yeah.
You don't want to mess that up.
Okay, gotcha.
So our coaches know to go out and they can't work 40 hours a week and draw a full paycheck, or they're going to hurt them.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt them what they already receive.
Okay,
So we don't want to ever do that.
gotcha.
Now, we also have clients that come in that do not draw anything, that goes out and work on our mobile work crews or goes out on our contracts. It's
Yeah.
not going to hurt at all.
Yeah.
So there's a fine line there of if they're receiving services or if they're not.
Yeah, this is good. This is real good. Now, listen, I know that I heard some knocks on our door, and our virtual door. I think a lot of people have some questions. And so to the audience, I want to just talk to you guys real quick. To your right side within the Zoom kind of interface and platform, know that you can go ahead and type questions in that chat box. I'm going to be able to see the questions right here on the screen. And so what we'll do is just type a question in. We'll begin to look at it. And we'll sit around here and have some more Q&A and just have some more living room conversation. But I really appreciate everybody who could stay and be with us for the duration of the conversation. We have a great partner in a lot of these organizations that are sitting up here. So happy to be working with CareerSource Capital Region about addressing this conversation in a very productive manner. So for those who can stay, please type your questions. You guys can hang out for some Q&A?
Yeah.
Sure.
absolutely.
Great. So we'll hang out for some Q&A. We'll have some more conversation. And yeah, it'll be fun. So I really appreciate it. Really do. You guys were great. You guys were great.
All right. Hey, friends, how's it going?
What's happening, Dom? You all right, buddy?
You guys doing all right?
Good.
I know we just had this like wonderful conversation in the living room, but now we're on Zoom. I don't know how this happens in the virtual context, but I think I had a whole wardrobe change and everything, but I'm glad that you guys are with me. Trying to get some audio for you in a quick second, but I may just tap into my iPad here and have some fun here. Is that all right, guys? Sweet.
Sounds good.
Hey, can you guys see me?
Yes.
And can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Can you hear me loud and clear?
Loud and
Yes.
Beautiful. We're going to have a quick audible to get the audio right. Well, we had a very good conversation amongst all of us talking about a lot of the great work that you all do. And we got some Q&A that's coming in the chat. So what we'll do is we'll have some conversations from a lot of the people in Q&A and have a good time here. Ellen, I see you have a beautiful city of Tallahassee background behind you. It's looking real good. John, how about where are you located right now?
I'm in my office in Fort Walton Beach.
Awesome. And Lexi?
I'm in my office here in Tallahassee.
Sweet. Cara Dean, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I can't complain. Good to see you. Good to see you. Indeed. Listen, I'm going to read a couple of these questions from Q&A. And let's just dive into it. So let's get into the first one from Vanita. Her question is, what do you think about apprenticeship programs?
Quite honestly, I think that apprenticeship programs are exactly what persons with barriers need, because it's a lot of training and it gives them that foundation, the solace that they need to grab a hold of and go forward with their own ability to do their job, to take ownership of that.
You're gone, Dom.
Nope. One second.
Can you hear me now?
Now you're back.
Awesome. It looked like you're about to hop in as well. Go ahead and share your thoughts for me.
Talking about me, John?
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't really do apprenticeships, but we do interns. We use interns when we can, and I think it's great. I think it's great for them to be around our office and see those that we serve, and it may lead them into a field working with those with disabilities. And I think it helps us in the future. So I think that's a great program. You know, I think to be outside and not know what we do inside is a whole different world. Once you get in here and you get in this family, then you learn a lot, and it may lead you in a direction. If you don't know what you want to do in your life, it may lead you in the direction of, hey, I want to go into that field. And so I think the intern programs, I guess, an advancement of apprenticeships is great. I think it's a great opportunity.
Absolutely. Now, Ellen, you are running an apprenticeship program with the city of Tallahassee?
We have several programs, which I would say would be in the category of apprentice programs. We have our internship programs, but we also run the Tallahassee Future Leaders Academy, which is in essence a apprenticeship program for the youth up to, I think, age 21. And then we also have our Tempo program, which again is another very successful program that allows individuals, I believe, up to the age of 24 to be involved in the program, get an education, get some work opportunities. So yes, we have a number of different programs that are very, very successful.
Good stuff. Now, Lexi, what about a lot of the great work that you guys do?
So like I discussed earlier, we talked about the on-the-job training program that we have that allows employers to connect with our clients, and we pay a portion of that salary while they're doing that job training. We also have a work experience, which is similar to that as well. So we work and partner with employers to try and get internship or apprenticeships type similar situations for our clients. Yeah.
Gotcha. Good stuff. Now, Kari has a question, and I think it's one that a lot of people, as we kind of talked about in our conversation, have misnomers about, right? And when it comes to actually making accommodations. So Kari's question reads as, have there been any problems with employers providing reasonable accommodations to the clients you serve with disabilities and challenges?
Dom, I can speak on that. You know, it's
Go ahead, John.
like I said, we've got staff that goes out with our clients or those that we're going to help find a job. So they pretty much know what our capabilities are. And I think most employers we work with, they got to be open-minded. They've got to, you know, a lot of them are just take a fast food place. You know, we're not going to stick somebody there on a stove when they may be capable of blowing off the parking lots. And I think that's up to our staff to use their knowledge to get that person in there and explain that to the employer. And most employers are open-minded. They're very willing, and they want them. Then they can grow within that establishment. They can maybe grow up to a cook, or they do something else. They become a drive-through window operator. And I'm just using fast food as an example, but there's so many opportunities. But I think it's our responsibility. We can't send somebody in with a disability and just say, here they are. We've got to go with them and tell the employer, here's what their capabilities are. Here's what they're either very highly functioning. Here's their limitations. And we found that most employers are very open to that. They're very open, and we've had people move up the workforce.
That's solid. Lexi, you want to chime in here on that question as well?
Absolutely. As far as the Division of Blind Services, we actually have a vendor that is he's like an engineer that goes in and assesses our clients once they get employed somewhere, determines if they have specific technology needs. I know I talked about earlier some of the software and capabilities that our clients might need on computers. So that rehabilitation engineer goes into the work site, works with the client and the employer to assess what the client needs in order to be successful in their job duties. So that's kind of how we tackle the accommodations. And on our end, we are responsible for, you know, paying for that provider to go out and look at everything that the employee needs. And then whatever he recommends, we provide the costs for those accommodations or those changes in the actual job.
Yeah. Now, Lexi, there's other programs out there that really begin to support employers who are hiring individuals that may need certain accommodations. Could you kind of speak to some of those programs that are existing out there to kind of help some of those small, medium, and large businesses that are listening in?
Definitely. I tapped into them earlier, but Earn and Jan, and then locally, within the state of Florida, you have the Division of Blind Services, you have vocational rehabilitation.
Yeah.
And so, especially with VR and DBS, we are kind of like the person that provides the connections to the other resources. So like I just said, we have that rehab engineer that goes out and assesses the situations. Depending on the situation, we have other resources and vendors that we can provide to the employers and the employee to get those accommodations going, pay for them on our end, and everything like that. So I hope that answers the question.
No, that's good. That's good. I was hoping that some of our attendees actually started typing in some of those key nuggets of information that you were sharing. So hopefully we can get somebody from the staff to kind of really begin to share some of those insights in the chat as well. I have a question from Renee Williams-Walter, specifically for Ellen. You've been called out, Ellen. How's it going? So listen, since the city initiated Ban the Box, have you had any problems or issues with staff who may not have otherwise been hired?
So I would say not really. So we have a very comprehensive process. We take, if you've been selected for an interview, you get an interview. Those individuals who get the job offer then undergo the background check. So any issue that we would have with a candidate not being hired is not directly associated with the background check of anyone. It's just that they're unhappy that they didn't get the job. And we deal with that, on a case-by-case basis and deal with whatever questions come up. But overall, I would say that we have not had many problems in that area.
Gotcha. Now, one question I wanted to ask, we had a great conversation with Colleen this morning and really talking about like retention architecture, and particularly in the spaces where we are really kind of designing around talent and building around talent. What are some key things? And Lexi, we kind of had this conversation in the panel around retention with individuals that may be experiencing a quote unquote disability in some respects. But how do we begin to look at retention in that context? Is it the same or is it any different? And I think we kind of talked about that a little bit in our panel discussion, but I'd like you guys to kind of illuminate that a little bit more.
I feel like individuals with disabilities, it's the same. They're individuals. I mean, whenever you hire an employee for your organization, they come with their life, their background. So, I mean, just like you would take on any other employee, I think that I kind of slightly mentioned it. The person, even though someone has a disability, that does not make up who they are. That is just an aspect of their life. So,
Absolutely.
Just like someone that might have children that might need some flexible time to work with their kids or take their kids to a doctor's appointment. There's just some flexibility that's needed just with like any other individual, any other employee that you would hire.
So just a question to all the panelists. How do we begin to coach around that internally, right? Sometimes there's the perception of what an individual can do. And in my humble opinion, sometimes the term underrepresented is kind of used, but I kind of like the term underestimated, right? And it appears that in a lot of spaces, when we think about individuals who may actually wrestle with a disability when it comes to employment or workforce, in some respects, the initial perception is that someone's is that they can't do the job, or there's going to be some issues or what have you not. And from all of our conversations, that's just not the case, right? So how do we begin to coach around people's perceptions around thinking that certain people they can't get the job done or have to do extra activities or extra work is going to cost me more? How do we begin to coach around that from a culture perspective?
Dom, I'll start a little bit and just say this. One, again, I think you can't set a person up for failure. I think the person that you're taking to these employers, you've got to know their capabilities and what that employer is looking for.
Yes.
If the employer has some doubts, then use some of your other employers as an example. If you're going to meet with somewhere else and you've got employees that work at Lowe's, use them and let them tell them, hey, the people we work from the ARC, the people with disabilities work so hard, they're great. Use the credibility that you've established with other businesses. Let them speak up for those that you serve.
Yeah.
But, as far as retention, they're going to stay there. you know, they're going to stay and they want to be a part of that family. Once these employers get our clients or get those with disabilities, they love them, they care about them, and they want them to stay.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think you can't, as I said, you can't set them up for failure. You got to take them whenever their capabilities, meet with the employer, tell them this is what they can do, and then let that employer let them grow within their establishment. But I think we have so many people that work, so many say Lowe's or Whataburger, wherever they hire our people, they're going to talk good about them. So use them to other employees and say, hey, talk to them. They'll tell you how good they work and how honest they are and how loyal they are. So that would be my advice.
That's good, John. That's good, John. Karen, look like you're itching over there to say something. You want to talk to us a little bit?
Well, we are the employer, so we don't actually, like Dom, he takes them to people and helps them get hired in other establishments.
Mm-hmm.
We are that establishment.
Yeah.
So with that, our managers of the different stores and outlets have learned to take persons who are needing a little extra TLC or a little extra attention and just take them and build that relationship with them. Because once the person realizes that they're interested in me, oh my, that makes a difference because, well, I matter. Because at that point, if I'm not here, well, they're concerned. So as long as I can minimize and provide support, because it has to still be a legitimate job doing a legitimate service. And just like any other employee, it still has to be reasonable. And that's really the key.
Good. I appreciate that, Cara Dean. Ellen, Lexi, you guys want to comment on that one? No, we're in the clear? Mm-hmm. Sweet. I have one question. I just need one person to just kind of knock this one out for me. So since COVID-19 has changed the workplace as we know it, have employers reached out to your organizations more than before to staff their positions with your clients, especially knowing your clients will not likely be a retention problem?
On our end, you know, it's really difficult. I feel like oftentimes, like I talked about how we do outreach, we try and get out in our community and explain everything that, you know, we do and our clients and everything. I won't say that it's common for employers to reach out to us to try and, you know, diversify or engage with our clients. And, you know, I really hope in the future that that's something that will change, because these clients, they want to work. Yeah. Just like John said, they want to work and they want to do a good job, and they want to be appreciated in their employment and, you know, in their job.
Absolutely. I think John said one thing that really kind of resonated with me in the panel, which was that, you know, everybody in their group is family, you know, and I think as Colleen kind of talked about, one thing that leaders need to definitely have when it comes to retention design, retention architecture, and really kind of designing for place, you want to have that empathy, right? To really begin to understand your talent inside and out, really understand their goals, how to begin to map and how to begin to move forward. So listen, I want to thank you all for joining us. I'm sorry that all of us couldn't be back in the room today. You guys are looking great still on Zoom. Loving what you guys and the work that you guys, I see you, John. I see you, John.
Facial hair, baby.
Indeed, baby. Listen, I'm really excited about the work that you all do. Looking forward to working with each of you all as our journeys continue. And thank you so much.